I paid $10, $200 for my dad's 65th birthday cruise. Then my family turned on me. They gave away my cabin until I canceled the trip they expected me to fund. My name's Brandon. I'm 34. And for as long as I can remember, I've been the one behind the curtain pulling the strings quietly, organizing, paying, fixing, smoothing things over, while my family smiled for the photos. I don't say that to sound noble. It's just how things always were. I was the responsible one, the dependable one, the planner. When I was 12, I was already scheduling my mom's doctor appointments and helping my younger siblings with their homework. Dad used to pat me on the back and call me the glue, but glue doesn't get thanked. It just holds everything together until it breaks. Dad was turning 65 this year, a big number. Retirement, Medicare, the whole shebang. I figured I'd pull out all the stops. He always said he wanted to visit the Caribbean somewhere warm, sunny, with crystal clear water and endless buffets. I started planning the trip 6 months in advance. I researched cruise lines, cabins, shore excursions. I even coordinated with the ship's events manager to have a custom cake made with Happy 65th Captain Kin written in gold icing. The trip cost me $10, $200 total. I didn't blink. This was for my dad and not just for him. It was for the whole family. I booked cabins for my parents, my younger brother Kevin and his wife, my sister Jenna, and her girlfriend Lisa and myself, 7 of us total. I made sure everyone had a private balcony and a fully paid itinerary. Snorkeling in St. Thomas, ziplining in San Juan, rum tasting in Barbados, everything. I even made personalized luggage tags. 3 days before the trip, I was sitting at my desk going over my packing list when my phone buzzed. It was a group text from Jenna. "Hey Brandon, just FYI, we gave your cabin to Lisa instead. Dad said she makes him laugh more and he wants her closer during the cruise. Hope that's cool." I blinked at the screen, then reread it. I scrolled up to make sure I hadn't missed a joke. Maybe this was part of some surprise they had planned. Nope. Kevin had replied, "LOL, classic dad." Lisa reacted with a heart emoji. No one addressed me. No one asked if I was okay giving up the room I paid for. No one even bothered to say thanks. My room, my trip, my card, and I was bumped like I was some random extra who'd wandered onto their vacation. I just sat there for a long time. Not angry, not yet. Mostly stunned. You know that tight feeling behind your eyes like pressure before a storm? That's what it felt like. A slow, bitter recognition that this wasn't new. It was just the most expensive version of a very old pattern. I was always the giver. And they took Lisa was funnier. Lisa was more fun. Lisa was closer to the family. And I was the organizer, the wallet, the backup plan. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. Copy that. That's all I said. Not okay, not cool. Just 2 words that could mean anything. They didn't follow up. That night, I poured myself a whiskey, opened my laptop, and logged into every single reservation portal I had access to. The cruise line, the private island excursion, the cake vendor, even the group airport shuttle. I had arranged to get everyone to the port, canceled every single one. Because here's the thing about being the planner, the fixer, the glue. I knew every password, every booking confirmation, every single thing was under my name. At 3:24 a.m., I got a text from Jenna. "Hey, just checking. Did you cancel the snorkeling excursion? It's not showing up in the app." I didn't reply. At 4:11 a.m., Kevin chimed in. "Bro, why does the cruise booking say no active reservation? What's going on?" Still didn't reply. By 6:00 a.m., my mom was calling. I let it ring. Then I turned off my phone and went for a walk. I'd expected some fallout, sure, but what happened next was a cascade. Apparently, my parents had already told all their friends about the cruise. Kevin and Jenna had both taken time off work. They'd arranged childcare, dog sitters, automatic timers for their lights. Lisa had apparently bought an entire new beach wardrobe for the trip, tagging it number Cruise Queen on Instagram. And now nothing, no trip, no cake, no beach. I'd even canceled their upgraded drink packages. But that wasn't the end. That wasn't even the satisfying part. Because while they were scrambling, emailing support, yelling at customer service reps, trying to rebook at the last minute and finding everything either sold out or triple the price, I was making arrangements of my own. See, for the last few years, my parents had been living rent-free in a property I owned. Technically, the house was still under my name after I inherited it from my grandfather. I'd let them stay there because it made sense. They didn't have a mortgage. I didn't need the place, and it made me feel like a good son. That changed the moment I saw that text. So I contacted a property management company, arranged a full inspection, sent a legal notice of termination of tenancy. The locks were changed 3 days later. Their name was taken off the utility accounts. I shut down the shared Verizon family plan they were using under my name, of course. Their storage unit paid up to the end of the month, then scheduled for clearance. I didn't shout. I didn't write a dramatic email. I just moved my pieces one by one. But the real kicker, they didn't even realize the cruise was gone until the day before they were supposed to leave. They showed up at the port with suitcases and smiles and matching t-shirts that read, Dad's 65th ship happens. But there was no check-in, no reservation, no cabin, no cake, no Brandon. And that was just the warm-up. By the time they realized what had happened, it was already too late. I know this because I started getting calls again. Not text calls, voicemails too. Desperate, confused, some furious, some just pleading. Brandon, honey, it looks like there's been some kind of mistake. Mom's voice crackled through the first message. The cruise line says we're not on the list. Could you call them for us? You booked everything, right? Another one from Kevin. Okay, dude, not funny. Like, we get it. You're mad. Lisa didn't mean anything by what she said. Just call me. Let's fix this. Jenna didn't leave a voicemail. She just called 7 times in a row. Lisa, she finally messaged me for the first time in weeks. A DM, actually. I know we got off on the wrong foot, Brandon, but this is a really big deal for your dad. Don't ruin his birthday over a miscommunication. A miscommunication. I watched her message sit unread for an hour before I finally clicked seen. Didn't reply because at that point it wasn't about the cruise. It was about every family photo I took for them, and was told to stand behind the camera. Every thanks for organizing I never got. Every holiday I spent doing dishes while the fun ones watched football. Every Brandon will take care of it. Tossed like I was some live-in assistant instead of their son, their brother. I'd spent years giving them the benefit of the doubt, telling myself they didn't mean it, that they were just caught up in the moment, that they loved me, just didn't show it the same way. But when they took my room, my literal bed on the trip I paid for, and gave it to Lisa with a casual, "She makes Dad laugh more," that was the moment I knew. They didn't forget me. They just didn't think I mattered. And now they were on the outside, literally. Because 3 days after the cruise debacle, they got back to the house I used to let them live in and couldn't get in. I watched from my car parked across the street, tinted windows, up, sunglasses on. I wanted to see it, not out of cruelty, but because I needed it to feel real. For once, I wanted them to feel what I felt. Excluded, unwelcome, small. Mom was the first to try the handle, then the doorbell. Dad followed, fumbling with his keys. I'd had the locks changed the night before. They rang again, knocked. I watched the confusion morph into irritation, then panic. Kevin pulled out his phone. I could guess what he saw. A forwarded legal notice I'd had emailed and printed, giving them 30 days to vacate the premises due to non-payment and unauthorized subletting. Technically true thanks to Lisa crashing there without notice a few weeks prior. Jenna stormed to the side of the house and tried the back door. I'd had that reinforced too. Eventually, they noticed the neighbor watching. The same neighbor who'd once asked me why I never came to the barbecues, then laughed when I said I wasn't invited. She gave me a nod as I drove off that afternoon. The text turned angrier after that. "You had an all right. Where are we supposed to go, Brandon? This is insane. You're acting like a stranger." Lisa's post about this cruise quietly disappeared from her feed. Then the real unraveling began. Dad's old business partner texted me to ask why the emergency fund wasn't responding to payment requests. Turns out my name was still attached as co-signer. Another thing I'd been too helpful to change. So I did. I moved the money to a trust under my name, legal clean. I even called to confirm there was no breach of contract. There wasn't. Next came the streaming services. Netflix, Hulu, Spotify family plan all canceled. Passwords changed. Email login. A week later, I got a call from Mom. I stared at it. Didn't answer. Then another voicemail. She sounded tired, smaller. "Brandon, we don't know what to do. Your dad's sleeping on Kevin's couch and Jin is staying with friends. I know you're angry, but this is your family. We're not perfect, but we love you. Can we please just talk?" I sat on my couch surrounded by silence. No laughter, no noise, no obligation, just peace. And then I got another message from Jenna this time. No greeting, no apology, just, "Are you seriously going to throw away your entire family over a joke?" That's when something shifted in me because it wasn't just a joke. It was a summary, a distillation of every moment I'd been told I was less than. Every time they pushed me aside, then acted shocked when I didn't stick around to pick up the pieces. I thought about replying. Instead, I started writing something else, not to them, to the lawyer. Because this wasn't just a vacation anymore. This was a full reset, and they hadn't even seen the worst part yet. I didn't reply to Jenna's message. I didn't need to. I was already several steps ahead, drafting documents with my attorney to formalize what had already begun. A clean separation emotionally, financially, legally. There was no dramatic confrontation, no screaming match. I didn't throw plates or shout that I was done because I had been done quietly, slowly. In the way you stop watering a plant not out of malice, but because you realize it was never yours to take care of in the first place. The lawyer's office was a modest place tucked between a bakery and a tailor shop downtown. Nothing fancy, but it felt decisive. We met in person. I brought a list neatly typed, cross-referenced. My name was still on more than I realized. My parents' health insurance COA account, a line of credit they'd been using for years in case of emergencies. the registration on the family car still in my name from when I helped refinance it 5 years ago. I told the lawyer to transfer, revoke, dissolve, or close everything, whichever would sever the ties fastest. And that storage unit, I had it opened. I didn't throw anything away. I'm not that person. But I paid for movers to have everything boxed up and delivered to Kevin's place since that's where Dad was staying. The invoice was taped to the top of the boxes. Around this time, the tone of the messages shifted again. They weren't angry now. They were confused, hurt, almost performative. Brandon, this isn't like you. Can we please just sit down like adults? You're being vindictive. Vindictive. That one stuck with me. The irony was so sharp it almost made me laugh because for 34 years I had never been anything but understanding, forgiving, accommodating. I missed college graduation because Kevin totaled his car and needed a ride from the police station. I loaned Gina money for rent twice without ever asking for it back. I sent Mom and Dad on a trip to Vermont last fall after Dad's surgery just to lift their spirits. I didn't do it for praise. I did it because I believed that's what family was supposed to be. But they didn't. Not really. To them, my generosity wasn't love. It was inventory, a resource, something to be allocated, used, taken for granted. That became painfully clear the day I found out about the voicemail. It came from someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Uncle Dennis, my dad's younger brother. He and Dad had a falling out over something petty. Dad said Dennis borrowed money and never paid it back. Dennis said Dad lied about a loan that never happened. Who knows what the truth is? But when Dennis called me out of the blue, I almost didn't answer. His voice was lower than I remembered. Slower, like every word had to be pulled up from somewhere deep. Brandon, I don't want to get in the middle of anything, but I think you should know. Your mom left a message on your aunt's phone the other day. Didn't realize it was still recording. She was venting about you. Said this whole thing is just another example of how you always act like you're better than everyone. Said you never understood what it means to sacrifice and that you're punishing them because you can't stand seeing anyone else happy. He paused. I thought you should hear it from me. I didn't say much, just thanked him, told him I appreciated the call. But after I hung up, I just sat in silence. It wasn't even the words that hurt. It was the confirmation, the realization that even now, even after everything, they didn't see what they'd done wrong. They were still casting themselves as the victims in a story I never wanted to write. The next day, I updated my will, removed all family members as beneficiaries, created a new trust, one that would go to scholarships for first-G college students. Quietly, no plaques or buildings with my name on them, just something useful, something real. That same week, I changed my number, new carrier, new account, new phone. The only people who got the number were my assistant, my lawyer, and my best friend, Sam. Sam was the one who came over that night with 2 six-packs and a bag of tacos. He didn't say much, just handed me a beer and asked if I wanted to watch anything that wasn't about family. We watched an old action movie with terrible dialogue and predictable explosions. It was perfect. That was when I got the knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. No deliveries, no appointments. Sam muted the TV and I went to check this peephole. It was Jenna. Hair tied back, dark circles under her eyes, clutching her phone in one hand and what looked like a folder in the other. She didn't look angry. She looked worn down. I didn't open the door. She knocked again, softer this time. Brandon, I just want to talk. I watched her from behind the door, not moving, not speaking. Then she said it. It's about Dad. Something happened. Another soft knock, then quieter. He fell off a ladder in Kevin's backyard. He's okay. Sprained wrist, bruised ribs, but he's scared. He's asking for you. I didn't say anything. Not through the door, not in my head. My silence wasn't cold. It was clarity. I wasn't the panicked, eager to please son anymore. I didn't feel guilt surging up or some compulsion to rush to his side and fix everything. I just felt curious. Curious what angle this was. Curious if they still thought this was a game of leverage. I know we messed up, Jenna said after a long pause. I know you don't trust us. Maybe you never should have. But he's asking for you, Brandon. Not Kevin, not even Lisa. You. I finally opened the door. Not because she said the right thing, but because I was ready to look her in the eye. And when I did, I saw it. Not manipulation, not a carefully rehearsed script. Just exhaustion, and maybe a sliver of understanding. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her voice when she spoke again was raw. He said he wanted to apologize. I nodded. So let him. She looked confused. To you, Brandon. Not in a group text, not through me. To you. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. Didn't invite her in. We stood on the porch for a minute before she handed me the folder. I flipped it open. Inside was a handwritten letter in Dad's blocky, uneven handwriting. It wasn't long. Brandon, I'm not good at saying the right things. Never have been. I know I've leaned on you too much, expected too much, and I know I never really thanked you the way I should have. You always picked up the slack and I made it worse by acting like it didn't matter. I let people talk down to you. Sometimes I joined in. That's on me. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve any of it. I hope you're happy now. You deserve to be dad. I stood there rereading it, waiting to feel something. Anger, vindication, sadness. But all I felt was the truth of it. It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was real. Jenna looked at me. He didn't want to call. Said he figured if he called, you'd hang up. If he texted, you'd block him. She wasn't wrong. I'm not here to guilt you, she added. Just wanted you to know he's trying. I nodded, closed the folder, and handed it back. Tell him I got the letter. Do you want to know? She nodded again slowly, and for the first time in years, she didn't argue. She just said, okay, and walked back to her car. I watched her drive off. The next day, I sent a small box to Kevin's house. Inside was a backup copy of the letter, laminated, and a post-it note. Thanks for the letter. I accept the apology, but we're done. Take care. I didn't need more than that. I wasn't coming back. I didn't need a dramatic confrontation or a teary reunion or some performative forgiveness arc. I wasn't interested in slowly letting them back into my life one text at a time. That chapter was closed. Instead, I spent the next few months building something better. I officially launched the scholarship fund I'd created, naming it after my grandfather, the one who left me the house that caused so much drama. I put the first 3 students through community college debt-free. Met with them, talked with them, gave them the kind of support I wished I'd had at their age. Sam and I took a trip to Portugal, something I'd always wanted to do but kept putting off for later. I stood on the cliffs above the ocean and felt for the first time in decades like I wasn't holding my breath anymore. Back home, I bought a small condo in the city, sold the family house for a decent profit, and used the money to invest in a small nonprofit incubator for first-gen entrepreneurs. I didn't broadcast any of it, didn't post online, didn't update my family. I just lived. About a year after the cruise that never happened, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a photo. Dad in his recliner arm in a cast, smiling awkwardly at the camera. On the back it said, "We still talk about you. Lisa finally figured out how to cook that stew you liked. She burns it every time. Thought you'd appreciate that. K." I didn't respond, but I smiled. It wasn't closure. That word's too neat, too final. What I got was freedom. Freedom from always being the helper, the fixer, the emotional garbage disposal. Freedom to choose who gets access to me and who doesn't. I never stopped caring about them. I just stopped letting them treat me like I was disposable. They can live with the consequences. And I finally started living on my own terms.